Alright guys, so now we're back with another tournament showdown between myself and Shadow Online Gaming. So you guys probably saw the tournament cast from a couple days ago, so this is the same tournament that Shadow is actually running himself. So you guys will be seeing a couple replays. This was actually from the initial round, if I'm not mistaken. So the way the tournament worked, for anyone who didn't see the previous video, is that you have an initial Swiss round where you're in, there's two groups. I think each of them had like 5 or 6 people. You play everyone in that group, and then the top people from each of those Swiss groups is going to advance. So now we're going to be on to the finals, where we have a more structured kind of a bracketed format, but this match was actually from one of the earlier rounds. So this is from the original Swiss round. So like I said, it's going to be myself facing off against Shadow Online Gaming, and I am going to be using the Lizard people, led by KROQ. So definitely excited to bring him to the table. So let's go ahead and take a look at my army. So on the flanks, I do have a couple of groups of skink cohorts with javelins, which I do like against Dark Elves, if they have like Witch Elves or, Skirmisher Cav on the flanks. And, they have 80 range on these guys, and if we look at the repeater crossbows, they're only 115 range. So you can actually use these guys with your shields to screen out repeater crossbows and also counterfire them a little bit with 3 volleys of javelin. So we have 2 of those on each side of the formation. And if he has like Dark Shards or any other units we want to pressure in the back line, we can also use them in that way. In the front, we do have 2 Chameleon Skinks to just kind of poke and troll. Always a fun addition to any Lizardmen force. A couple groups of Saurus Warriors with shields. Pretty much standard stuff there. And they're going to be supported by Gary and George. So we got Gary, the Rev Crystal, right here. And we got George, the Laser Lizard here, who's going to start blasting into some of these filthy Dark Elves. And then, of course, we have KROQ, who's going to be leading the pack. So just in case you went with like Malekith on a dragon or any sort of a large shenanigans, I wanted to have KROQ. Granted, this isn't a matchup I'm terribly familiar with. I typically like to use Jabba the Hutt, but, I figured KROQ would be good this game. We do have a Heavens Caster as well, so we got the Comet of Cassandora, as well as the Curse of the Midnight Wind on Harmonic Convergence. And for my opponent, the mighty Shadow Online Gaming, he does have 3 groups of Black Art Corsairs with handbows, which I really like. They're pretty good counter skirmishing against the Chameleons with their 80 armor. So I definitely like that choice quite a bit. Granted, you can see the Laser Lizard, Gary, or was it Gary? Yeah, I think George is the Bastillodon with the Solar Engine. So they're doing some pretty good work here. He's got a frontal core of 3 Black Art Corsairs, which do pretty well against Saurus with their 80 armor. He also has 2 groups of Harganeth Executioners, and then 2 groups of the Blackguard and Ogrond. So he actually caught me off guard a little bit, bringing Malekith on foot, so I'm not going to get my bonus first large in a duelist situation with KROQ. So it's not going to be, honestly, it's probably easier to kill him on like a Raptor or Dragon with the bonus first large, and he's also a bigger target for some of your other stuff, so I definitely like that Shadow brought him on foot. I thought that was a pretty cool little niche. And aside from that, he does have 2 repeater crossbows out on the flanks, and that is pretty much it. So you can see in the front here, there's a little bit of skirmishing going on with the Chameleons, and also my Laser Dino is just blasting into these Black Art Corsairs. And the Chameleons do have pretty good missile resist, so I should be fine. Also, my Javelins are able to get a great volley, so a lot of people don't expect these guys to actually like counterfire your skirmish cap, but you can see we actually poison them and drag a ton of them down into the mud. You can see the Dark Riders are definitely taking quite a bit of damage. I'm going to use KROQ, taking advantage of the fact that they're relatively low leadership right now, and try and force them off the battlefield while I'm also simultaneously skirmishing with the Chameleon Skinks. So Shadow falls back behind this lip right here, which is definitely a really good idea. It's going to make it pretty much impossible for George to get a good shot on these guys. So we're just going to kite back right now. I'm going to retreat with my main army and just kite a little bit, and, which then buys me time to chase off these repeater crossbows and some of these other troops in the forest. So I realized it was a bit of a waste. I was like, they're not breaking even though I'm chasing them, which was really a bummer because, they could have potentially gone off the map. So I just pulled back KROQ. It wasn't worth my time, and there was a much more important fight about to happen. So the Chameleons are just kiting, and Black Art Corsairs are pretty durable, like I said, against such attacks, and a very good Gaze of Malice from Shadow right there. He's able to get a couple good shots on the Chameleons, and also a Chill Wind going down my formation. That one was a bit of a swing and a miss. It only got about half of that group there, but still does a little bit of damage, just a tip. So right there, Gary and George are shooting in, and you can see the Saurus Warriors are going to pile in against these Black Art Corsairs, doing their awesome attack animations. And the Bastillodon's going to take the high ground right here, while the other Saurus Warriors... I should have gone Mass Skinks and just gone for like the Aquatics build. I feel like that would have been pretty fun on this swamp map. But KROQ's coming back in. You can see Shadow is going to be using his Blackguard and Ogrond to screen me out, which is definitely some good stuff. I'm going to be using my Skink cohorts to continue to try and screen those repeater crossbows from shooting my big dinos. And the games have begun. So the Heavens Caster is just going to be circling, looking for a good Comet of Cassandora. Probably going to go after the Blackguard here. But the Harganeth Executioners are going to be scary in the front line. So I do get my Velociraptor or Scar Veteran. I'm going to have him just, going to town on Malekith and trying to, but Malekith's a pretty strong duelist. So I send in my Rev Crystal to get some additional AP against those Harganeth. And in the back, I'm just using KROQ to try and muck things up. So what I do is I send my Skink cohorts in against the Elite Halberds, who aren't going to kill them terribly quickly. And then I get KROQ, and I'm going to be circling back in and going after his missiles. And a great Comet of Cassandora right there. It looks like the Comet, there was no explosion. It just went straight into the swamp. But regardless, it does a lot of damage against the Harganeth Executioners. But the Saurus are kind of taking a bit of a beating from those Harganeth boys. You can see over here it's a very, very one-sided affair. as these Hargoneth Executioners are able to just rampage and massacre those Saurus. Regardless, though, the back line is definitely opening up for me just a little bit, able to get some of those skink cohorts onto the Blackheart Corsairs with handbows. KROQ is working on these guys, which, honestly, I didn't feel like there was too many good targets for KROQ. I mean, so I was like, all right, I guess I might as well just shut down the missile, so then I have the complete advantage as it pertains to the missile game here. So the repeater crossbows are trying to get back in here, but they're taking some heavy fire upon entry, but still, the Blackheart Corsairs in the main line are doing very well, so the infantry fight definitely going pretty well for Shadow here, but of course the monsters of mine are going to be pretty tough to drag down in the long run. So Gary is going to be fighting side by side with this Saurus Scar veteran who does have the Rev Crystal and 45 Saurus Warriors here. So definitely some pretty good stopping power. And you can see KROQ has now come. Swiggity swooty. He's coming for that booty. He jumps right into the front line and gets a great little rear charge on those Hargoneth Executioners. And Malekith is pretty beat up here. So I could go after him with KROQ and try and goon him out, which is probably going to be a good idea. He only has 2,000 HP right now. So the KROQ is taking a lot of work as well. You can see I have the Sacred Spawning of Zodal, which gives him physical resist and vigor. All kinds of good stuff. I do pop the Deadly Onslaught, and from there, I believe I do start going after Malekith. In the back, I'm just using my Chameleons to kind of chase things down. I got a little bit overzealous. I thought those guys were broken, but I was like, oh no, they're not. So we actually have to start kiting back because these Blackheart Corsairs can just massacre Chameleons in melee. So I'm kiting back, just kind of shooting and poking. In the meantime, my skink cohort's actually doing pretty good against these Blackguard, racking up a couple kills even. And my Heavens Caster just looking for more combative Cassandora targets, but over here it's looking good for KROQ. And for the first time, you can see the bounce apart coming in my favor just a little bit, as KROQ is able to, he only has probably hit Malekith only once in that entire engagement since he started fighting. And I do get Gary back, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to pull back, use my laser dino, and you can see that George here gets a great blast. These guys are very blobbed up, so this is good for my laser dino. Because the Dark Elves, he brought a much heavier front line. He brought like Hargoneth, he brought, the Blackguard and Nagaron, so fighting them in like sustained, just kind of pit fights here is definitely not going to be fun. So I can just use my laser dino, some javelins, and some of the charging for my monsters to potentially take them out. In the back, you can see that my Chameleons are just kind of kiting about these Blackheart Corsairs, just trying to clean everything up back here as KROQ just works around the battlefield. We'll be sending in my cohorts to finish off these Blackheart Corsairs. I feel like the cohorts should be able to finish him, but he is going to be charging in with the Dark Riders, trying to get just all the shock damage, maybe break my leadership. I do have quite a few troops rallying in the back here. So in the meantime, just kind of running around with KROQ, looking for a good opportunity to strike. He does use the Chill One to slow me down, but there isn't really anything nearby to capitalize on that. So obviously I need to shut down the missile, so the Big Daddy Dino is going to be getting in here in the swamps. And I think infantry units, including my Saurus, do take penalties, because I don't think Saurus are aquatics. I mean, they're alligators, right? I feel like they should have aquatics. That would be a little bit OP. Aquatics OP. So anyways, Bastillodon with the Rev Crystal is going to be scurrying around the back, trying to unify with the Skinks. I think that's what I was doing, and then I was like, all right, from there, maybe I can just go and try and Alpha Strike down these Blackguard. And George is doing a really good job, just kind of shooting into the blobs here. And I also still have my Saurus Scar Veteran, so that's definitely going to be tough for Shadow to kill. KROQ obviously has capabilities of healing with that Rev Crystal and Cold Blood. The Saurus Scar Veteran is very powerful in its own right with solid AP. And you can see he's going to be punching down some of these guys. So yes, this isn't a great engagement fighting all these Halberds, but I figured I could kind of Alpha Strike them and Malekith at the same time. So we're going to be going after them. In the meantime, George is still continuing to shoot. I think he has a couple shots left. It looks like he does have 3. So potentially shooting into these Hargoneth could be very strong. The handbows here are doing a really good job at just kind of fending off my skink cohorts and some of my other troops. So unfortunately, Shadow's probably going to win this particular engagement here, but I have a lot of big dinos coming. So I have a Bastillodon with Solar Engine, my Rev Crystal's in pretty good shape here, and Malekith is about to just get teabagged by KROQ most likely. So Malekith on the ground here. You can see the big angry dinos are just kind of trotting over him, and oh, here comes the skink just surfing USA. Oh, and he tried to get him. Is Malekith done yet? I remember in this game I was like, oh, why won't you die? Malekith just had like 200 HP, and KROQ just kept missing him, and the skink chief. So Malekith's melee defense really coming in there, and oh, there it goes. There goes the Tail Whip of Doom. Oh, that actually looked like that animation was synced, like the Tail Whip actually sent him flying there. So from here, they have a couple like tattered groups of infantry, but I still have a ton of big dinosaurs. KROQ's in pretty good shape. And from there, the Dark Elves are going to buckle and fall. So very well played to Shadow Online Gaming. That was an awesome game. It was super fun. Bringing Malekith on foot definitely caught me off guard and made him a bit of a harder target. Like, I wasn't able to kill him quick. And, it became pretty hog wild. But George was definitely one of the MVPs there. He was just solid as the Dickens. And, the Saurus Warriors did their job. So it was definitely fun. I like Shadow's army quite a bit. I thought it was solid. Blackheart Corsairs do well in the front line. Hargoneth boys, can tear up Saurus very efficiently. And, of course, he has the Halberds for anti-large. I think one of the things that went south for him was the Dark Riders being relatively inefficient. They kind of got screened out, and had they been able to sit and work down some of the big dinosaurs, I think that would have made for a much scarier game for my lizard people. But yeah, he played great, and it was a very, very fun game. So guys, make sure to go check out Shadow Online Gaming. He is running this awesome tournament. And there will be a link to his channel in the comment section below where you can go watch his casts. He's been casting like all the games, so if you guys want to see some of the personalities you know are playing in the tournament, so it should be fun. So thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing Cousin KROQ in action, and we will see you guys next time.